Just days after a deadly shooting at a Dallas ICE facility, leftist agitators, well, they're at it again, targeting a detention center in Broadview, Illinois, just outside Chicago. Agents firing pepper balls and tear gas to stop the crowd from storming the building. And Democrats, they're still pretending their constant smears, calling agents Nazis at every turn, but that's not fueling the chaos. Watch this.
Criticizing the way that ICE is rounding up people in this country in a deeply inhumane and immoral way is not an incitement to violence.
We've heard a lot of law enforcement leaders and Republicans talking about bringing down the temperature, people not demonizing ICE. What are your thoughts on that?
I think ICE has to follow some basic rules and guidelines. There is a lot of fear. I mean, we have people that are just being disappeared off the streets.
Jessica, I mean, we opened this segment and you can hear them saying, shoot ICE. Shoot, I don't know, maybe they had water guns out there and I just don't know that. I don't think that's what that was about. I don't see how Democrats can go on TV right now even and defend some of this behavior.
I don't think that anyone is defending that behavior in particular, and I certainly don't want to be the one to do it. So yeah. I'm going to give that part of this a pass. I do think that you can't create a scenario in which nobody can be critical of ICE ever again or talk about due process violations. And obviously saying, even people who are here undocumented have a right to due process isn't as catchy as some other words. And I would caution people against those words, certainly in the immediate aftermath of something like this. But like we were talking about even in the A block, where Jesse and Greg basically just said, we don't care. Right, we don't care what you say. This is happening whether you like it or not. Democrats are going to have to take that into account. The Republican Party is telling you to your face that they don't care. If it's a revenge, by any means necessary. Stephen Miller, you get 3,000 people a day, no matter what, pick them up at Home Depot, immigration courts. And this has become more of a guerrilla competition between the parties than people who used to go and stand on the floor of Congress and make impassioned speeches. And that, I think, is a very dangerous turn in our politics, but is the reality.
Jesse, from what I understand, illegals didn't care how they came into this country. They didn't care what laws they broke, if they hurt our economy or other people when they came to this country and decided to be here illegally. They didn't care. Why should our hearts break for how they leave this country?
No, mine doesn't. Obviously, you're a humanitarian. No one is more of a humanitarian than I am. But I'm also a grown man, and you have to do tough things when someone floods your country with 10 million people and you have no idea who the heck they are. Jessica says this is dangerous, that we're not listening to them. It was dangerous when we were. We're not even really saying we don't care. We're just saying we're not going to listen to you spew garbage at our people and put them in harm's way anymore. We've actually tried to tell you to tone it down. We've tried to tell you to stop calling them the Gestapo because we've seen the results of that, and they don't listen. They keep calling them the Gestapo and Nazis. So, yeah, we're kind of like, you know what? We can't change your behavior. You're just going to have to find out the hard way at the ballot box. Or if you don't, you might actually have to make a decision one of these days and say, maybe I should stop inciting violence against federal law enforcement. It might not be great politics, and it might not be good as a person. Now, I don't know what Jessica's opinion is on all these people throwing around these words, but she hasn't, so I'm not going to link her to those people. But it's not a rogue agency. Congress funds ICE. If you want to do something about it, win an election. Congress writes the law that ICE is enforcing. If you want to do something about it, pass an immigration bill. You had 2 years. You didn't do it. If you want to do anything with the executive branch, win the White House. You probably won't for a while because you open the borders and now everybody doesn't trust you. And that's where we are as a country. We're not just not listening to you. We don't trust you.
Yeah.
Katie?
It's incredible that ICE agents can be seen protecting illegal detainees from gunfire, and yet Democrats still continue to smear them as the fascists and the Nazis that they claim that they are. It's totally disgusting. But when it comes to the messaging from top Democrats like Senator Chris Murphy, when he says ICE is rounding people up, or Congresswoman Grijalva saying ICE has to follow some rules and guidelines, Senator Murphy doesn't talk about who they're rounding up, okay? They're rounding up rapists, human traffickers, murderers. And the Department of Homeland Security puts out all their mugshots and a summary of what they have done, not just here in the United States, but in their home country. And these aren't undocumented people. They're hardened, illegal criminal aliens who have broken laws over and over again and victimized Americans inside this country. And Democrats are fighting to keep them here inside of our communities to victimize even more people. And when you say that people are getting rounded up at Home Depot, they're getting arrested at Home Depot because on these work sites, as the Department of Homeland Security has detailed in full, they are dealing drugs, they are trafficking women and children at these work sites, and they're illegally sending money back to cartels and paying their debts for getting people into the country. So all of this comes back to whose side the Democrats are on. They've made it very clear they're willing to smear ICE, and they're willing to tell Americans who say, I really don't want people in my community who are going to murder and rape my daughter while she's on a run. Can you please get them out because it's a preventable thing to do? They continually get on television and in their campaigns and defend criminal illegal aliens while American families are begging for these people to be deported outside of the country.
They don't just get on television. They fly to El Salvador and have a margarita with them.
Exactly.
I mean, they celebrate.
No one had a cocktail.
Greg, there's a study out that shows that what they label as right-wing terrorist attacks have plummeted to an all-time low, and that the left is much more on the rise. But even Will Cain, a couple of hours ago, broke down how labeling something a right-wing terrorist attack, it really is a loose catch. Do white supremacist organizations get the same kind of embrace by the right that Antifa or BLM riots get from the left?
Well, if you're looking for white supremacist outfits, you have to go to prison because that's where they are, and that's where we put them.
That's right.
You know, we have this weird thing about being conservatives. We're a stickler for law and order. We don't romanticize radicals. If you go back to the 70s, we weren't the Manson family, the Weather Underground, the Black Panthers, you name it. It was them. They loved it. It's part of the agenda that in academia to romanticize Marxists and radicals. We're the only people covering this. Imagine if there was a right-wing faction daily attacking government facilities. That would lead the news every day. It'd be January 6th every day, except with actual violence. And it's kind of incredible that, you mentioned it, that detainees were killed. Mm-hmm. I mean, how nakedly political is their outrage that they don't care that the deaths of the people they claim to protect came from the rhetoric they are spouting. They just love the conflict. They love the attention, the disruption. This reminds me of kind of an amplification of Whipgate. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Where they tried to destroy a border agent's life by saying he was whipping a migrant. Now they're doing it every day, even though they knew they were wrong. They knew they were wrong about the border agent, and yet they didn't care, and they're doing it again. So this is why, again, it's not saying we don't care about the issue. We just don't care about your input because your input is dishonest. We just want to fix it. We'd love your help, but we kind of gave up on getting help.
A few things. We have to wrap, but you don't romanticize radicals. There are a lot of people who were convicted of real crimes on January 6th that have been pardoned now and are folk heroes, even though they've gone out and
Who made them folk heroes, not us? You.
Really? Okay.
With your January 6th commission.
You know what?
That blew up in your face.
We haven't
Not to
spent
use a
enough
violent
time
metaphor.
litigating January 6th, but we're not going to do it now.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.